Hey guys, welcome back to Click Academics. In today's video, I'm going to be teaching you guys how to divide rational expressions. So right here we have this problem, 5 times a plus 2 over b divided by a plus 2 over b. And before even attempting to solve this problem, let's go back to fractions. Do you guys remember how to divide fractions? Let's say we have the fraction 5 over 2 divided by 3 over 4. And remember, when we're dividing fractions, we find the reciprocal of the fraction that's being divided by, which in this case is 3/4. So what is the reciprocal of 3/4? 4/3, because the reciprocal is when the numerator and denominator switch places. So this equals 4/3. And then what we do is we change our division sign here to a multiplication sign. So 5 over 2 divided by 3/4 is 5 over 2 times 4/3. And the answer to this is 20 over 6, or also 10 over 3 simplified. All right, so now that we know that concept, we could use the same thing over here. We have to use the same thing to divide rational expressions. So what we're first going to do, let's distribute this 5 to this expression in the parentheses, because remember, we want to distribute to simplify. So remember, when we're distributing, we have to multiply our outside term, which in this case is 5, to all our terms in our parentheses. So 5 times a is 5a plus 5 times 2 is 10. So this is our expression distributed, and we're going to put this over b. And now what we're going to do is we're going to do the same thing which we did when we were dividing our fractions earlier. We're going to find the reciprocal of this and change this division sign into a multiplication sign. So this division sign, this is going to be a multiplication sign, and a plus 2 over b, the reciprocal of a plus 2 over b is simply b over a plus 2. And now that we have this, what we're going to do is we're simply going to multiply these two fractions. And remember, when we multiply our two denominators over here, and we multiply two numerators. So b times a plus 2, this is, I'm simply going to write it as b times a plus 2 and 5a plus 10 times b is simply b times 5a plus 10. All right, so now that we have these two, why don't we simplify this a little bit? B over b, this is simply, these two can simply cancel out because they're the same thing. So we're left with 5a plus 10 over a plus 2. And we can actually simplify this a little more. Remember before when we distributed our 5 to our a plus 2? Now, because we already have an a plus 2 on our denominator, why don't we bring this back? So let's change this back to 5 times a plus 2. And generally, when you have a distribution for any dividing rational expressions, you should do it. But in this case, it would have been better if we hadn't done it, because we can just simply cancel out these a plus 2's. But generally, make sure you distribute first, and then after, if you need to change them back, you always can. So now we can simply cancel out both of these a plus 2's since they're the same, and we're simply left with 5. So our answer to this problem is 5. problem, we have x over 8 minus 4x divided by x squared over 6 minus 3x. And now we're going to use the same concept which we used in our previous problem. What we're going to do is, well, let me first write our first expression here, x over 8 minus 4x. And now remember, we're going to change our division sign to a multiplication sign. And now we're going to find the reciprocal of this, which is simply 6 minus 3x over x squared. All right, so now that we have this, let's multiply these two terms. So we're going to have x times 6 minus 3x over x squared times 8 minus 4x. And x divided by x squared. What is x divided by x squared? Well, this is the same thing as asking what is x to the power of 1 divided by x squared. And remember, when we're dividing exponents, we simply subtract our top exponent with our bottom exponent. So what is 1 minus 2? That's negative 1, right? So we have x to the power of negative 1, meaning this would equal x to the power of negative 1, and this would be out. But what is x to the power of negative 1? X to the power of negative 1 is simply equal to 1 over x, right? So then we could simply write this as (6 minus 3x) over x times 8 minus 4x. So the x to the power of negative 1 comes down and changes to an x. So now that we have this, now why don't we simplify these two expressions? Well, what can we factor out of 6 minus 3x? What is a common factor of 6 and 3x? 3. So if we factor out 3, we are left with 2 minus x. And now let's simplify 8 minus 4x. So I'm still going to write the x here. How would we simplify 8 minus 4x? What is a common factor of 8 and 4x? 4, right? So we have 4 times 2 minus x. And notice how 2 minus x and 2 minus x, we have two of them each on different sides, meaning we could simply just cancel these two out. So now we're left with 3 over x times 4 is simply 4x. So this is going to be our answer.